Welcome to today's training. Today's session is Digital Portfolios with Adobe Express. My name is Sean O'Neill. I'm an instructor with EdTech Teacher. I have done a lot of trainings with you so far, so welcome back to those of you who have been in a training with me before. And if this is your first training with me, welcome. I'm very excited to be here with you today. I'm going to continue. We have some folks who are just joining right now. So today we're going to talk about using Adobe Express to help our students create digital portfolios. But a digital portfolio is something you might want to create as well, whether it's for recertification purposes, whether you want to create a portfolio to show what you have learned or what you are creating. It's a wonderful way to get all of your work done digitally and then be able to share it out. So you can see here what's on the screen, that in 60 minutes, you will be ready to start creating with your students. So you will discover the power of digital creation. I'm going to talk you through that today. I'm going to show you some examples on Adobe Express, and I'm going to give you some time to practice while I'm still here so I can help you. And then at the end, you are going to be able to get your badge and certificate for the work that you've done during our hour here today. So this is going to be a very busy hour. I think it'll probably go by very fast. And hopefully at the end of this, you will all feel very comfortable starting digital portfolios within Adobe Express. So I want you to start off by thinking about what's your biggest hope for your students, right? We're in November, mid-November. Hopefully we've got a lot of the kinks out by now. And think about, as far as digital portfolios go, when we think about those, keeping those at the forefront of our mind, what would you like your students to be able to do? And this really is going to be, you're going to have a different answer probably than your colleagues based on how old your students are. But there are a lot of different things that our students can do with these digital portfolios, and it's very exciting. Back in my day, portfolios were a bunch of papers in a folder. And when I was teaching elementary school, and when I was teaching fourth grade, I had a milk crate and I had hanging file folders, and my students' portfolio was all of the papers that I put in there. And it wasn't ideal, and it was very, very tough to share. It was heavy if I had to move it, but that's what we were dealing with then. Now we can have our students create portfolios digitally, or for some of our youngest learners, we can actually even do it for them as their teacher in very, very quick and time-efficient ways. So why use digital portfolios? So they provide rich information about personal learning and growth. We're going to go over in just a minute the different kinds of digital portfolios that there are, but it is an incredible way to see your students' growth. And for those of you who have used portfolios of any kind in the past to show growth of learning over time, you know just what an amazing resource it is to see where our students started as opposed to where they end up. And it is incredible for our students to see that themselves as well. It is a real sense of pride. It's also wonderful if you're creating a digital portfolio as a project piece or as an example of kind of best learning, right? So we can do portfolios over time. You could have a portfolio of a project, but it is a great way to showcase student learning. It also helps students curate learning artifacts. So it puts some of the ownership back onto the student to be able to select work that they're really proud of or that they have seen advancement in their own work and allow them to curate those things. We know that when our students take pride and ownership in their work, they're more engaged, right? It means more to them. And it also encourages our students to reflect and think critically about their learning. So if they know that they are creating something that is going to get added to a digital portfolio, hopefully they become more invested in what they're doing. So three ways to show learning using a digital portfolio. And this doesn't have to be the only way you do it. You do whatever works best for you and your students. But these are the three main ways that teachers usually use digital portfolios. And the first one is a static collage, which is a collection of work, right? So showing just a collection of work with pictures. All right. And that can be something that is added into a poster, kind of like you see here. It could be a series of photos of work, but it's static. The next type of learning that we can add to a digital portfolio is a video demonstrating progress over time. So we can add videos to digital portfolios. And the last way that you can use a digital portfolio here in Adobe Express is by starting a web page. And that's what I'm going to show you today, because I think that's probably the most engaging and really gives us and our students the best way to show their learning. And when we start with a web page, students are able to incorporate images, whether they're stock images from the Adobe website or their own pictures that they've taken, video, and text. So when we start with a portfolio with a web page, which is what we're going to do today, they're able to incorporate all of that different content. So it really opens it up to students. And if you're the teacher of younger students, and I know because I taught first grade, so some of this my students definitely would not be able to do independently, don't think that digital portfolios aren't for you, because they still can be. Instead of students entering their work digitally, teachers can actually take pictures of their work and upload the content that way, and students can narrate their work. So it's just another way to have students kind of buy into the digital portfolio and be able to present their best work. So what I want to show you now is a quick tour of Adobe Express Learn. The address is right here that I want to show you, but it's new.express.adobe.com/learn. And what I actually did was I already opened up the page for you to show you what it is. Let me get to my home screen. So this is the Adobe Express for Education site, which should hopefully look familiar to you. All teachers, all educators, and all students have a free Adobe Express for Education account, which is actually the premium account. So although Adobe Express is free for everyone, anyone can use Adobe Express, we do have a premium account. Educators and students get access to that premium account. So that's what you're seeing now. And this is what all of you should have access to as well. Adobe for Education Learn is real easy to find if you just come over here to the dashboard on the left-hand side and you come down here to Learn. If you've clicked on this before, these are dozens of short videos and articles to teach you how to do more things within the Adobe Express platform and to help you. So you can see it teaches you how to create a brand kit. If you are working with videos, how to start a video from a template, and that might be something you might be interested in with digital portfolios. But as you scroll through, you can see that they're very, very short. Most of these are just about a minute long, and they show you how to do some real quick things within the platform that might be of interest to you. Okay. This is something that is different from the regular Adobe Express account. It's the Learn platform. All right. And if you're looking for something in specific, you can look up here as well to the dashboard at the top. We're going to go back down here to the slideshow for just a minute. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how to start a digital portfolio. And then we're going to go back, and I have some activities that go along with this slide deck that I'm going to show you how to do too, so you know how to use those with your students if you are interested in that. So this is what we have available for you online if you ever need just a quick refresher in digital portfolios with Adobe Express. And you can see right here, it goes through the why, it goes through the how, and then it actually even gives you some ready to create projects that you can remix, which is the Adobe term for kind of edit. So we have that that's going to be available for you as well. And I'll show you at the end of our time together exactly where you can find that, just in case you want another quick refresher. When you're starting a digital portfolio or you're teaching your students to, I think it's easiest to start with a web page. Now, if you just want to have a static showing of pictures, you could start with a poster, which is right down here, and then students can just add their pictures. If you have videos, you can start with a video, which is right down here. The reason why I like using the web page is because it allows students to upload photos, videos, texts, and more, which I'm going to show you in a minute. When you're trying to start a web page, you can access it a couple of ways. You can access it actually about 3 ways. You can click right here on the purple, which is build a web page. You can see right here, it says web page. So you can click here, or as always, you can click on the blue-purple button right here and scroll down to web page. It is all going to bring you to the same spot. Once you click on that, you are going to notice that you have a lot of different choices, and there's a lot of templates that are already there. So it might be easier for your students to use a template, and you can see they're broken up by education, events, personal. So you might want to go through this with your students and use a template that has already been there, such as this one. I'll select, and I'll just kind of give you an idea about what the template looks like. Okay. Now, if you've been in Adobe trainings with me before, or you have used Adobe Express for a while, you know that with any of our templates, everything we have is fully editable. So you can hover over and click on anything. You can see it kind of blinking as I get there, and you can change it. So here's an example of a portfolio template. All right. So you can change the text, you can change the pictures. This is what we call a split screen, because on one side there's text while on the other side there are pictures. And this is just to kind of give you an idea of what a digital portfolio can look like. So obviously this is the template, and here they're giving you some directions. So I'm just kind of scrolling through. The template for the web page scrolls vertically as opposed to horizontally. I'm going to go back now, because what I would like to show you is how to create a web page for a digital portfolio from scratch. So creating a digital portfolio from scratch. And then I'm going to give you a few minutes to go in and play around with it before I show you some other features. So I showed you how to start a web page by using the plus sign. This time, we're just going to go at it a different way. We're going to click on build a web page. As you can see, it brings you to the exact same screen. Now, depending on the age of your students, it might be easier to just tell them to click that big button right on the home page. What we're going to do now is we're going to start our digital portfolio from scratch. And you can see that button is right down here, create from scratch. This is what I'd actually like you to practice, or one of the things I'd like you to practice during our work block today, just so that you get the feel of how using all of the different buttons and the features works, so that if your students have any questions, you'll be prepared. We're going to click on create from scratch. Now, first thing is always the title page. I recommend that your students add their name for the title page, and then for the subtitle, whatever it is that the digital portfolio is going to be about. As I was saying, a digital portfolio can be a whole year's worth of learning. It could be just one big project, and the digital portfolio is the summative activity at the end. It could really be a hybrid of both. It could be learning progress over time, and it could be big projects as well. We'll have this one be, why don't we have this one be, we'll call this the science fair project. All right. But it always starts off with the name and the subtitle. And then you can click the plus sign, and you can see for your cover, you can have a short cover. You could split the layout of the cover so that it looks like that. We'll go back. This is actually good, right? I went back. If I want to get right back into that because I got kicked out, I'm going to go right down here and I'm going to jump back in. We'll start with name. And then we called this our science fair project. If I want to add a photo in the back, I'm just going to click on that plus sign down the bottom, and then I'm going to click on photo. And here, students can choose from any of the Adobe stock photos, or they can add a photo of their own. That's what's wonderful is if students want to add an actual, instead of having a background picture that's a stock picture, if they have a picture of their own that they want to kind of be their cover, they can upload from device. And when you do that, you can see they can upload from anything that they have on their own computer. So here we're just going to pick a background picture just so I can show you. It's going to buffer a little bit and then it's going to pull it up and it's going to be crystal clear. So it's a really, really nice background. You can see down here that now it says scroll to start writing your story. So it kind of talks students through it. So students will scroll and they can't get too far with their scroll before they get this other box popping up. And this is why I love doing digital portfolios with web pages, because these are all of the options now. They can add their photos, they can add text, they can add buttons, GIFs, videos, a photo grid, so a collection, a glide show, which is like a slideshow, split layout, or they can add anything. Remember, your stuff, those are all the projects that you have worked on and saved. We're going to start by adding a header, all right? Because let's say if this was science fair project, then there were steps, right, that this student probably took within their project. So if you want to have students create headers, you can go into text and have them just type the word header, all right? Then let's say this is really small and this really isn't sticking out as a header, right? So what you can do is just like you can do with any of your text in any of your Adobe Express projects, when you highlight it, the text editor comes up. And we have two ways to make this a header and make it really stand out, right? So we can hit header 1 and you can see it immediately bumps it out, or you could hit header 2, which is a little bit smaller. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. And then because for me, this is my header, I'm just going to center it, okay? But you can see you can change the font, you can add numbers, you can add bullets, you can add any of those things. And here's my handy dandy undo button. That's like my favorite button in the world, right? Because I make a lot of mistakes. Let's say we're going to add some more text here, and maybe we're going to say research. And I'm going to have my student is going to start by talking about what their research was about. So this is where your student can start adding some text. And then maybe they want to add a picture to go along with that text. So their science fair project was about plant adaptation. So maybe then we just want to add a picture of a plant, and you can see it's buffering, and then it is going to clear up in just a minute. It'll be nice and crystal clear. There we go. And you can see again, then students have some options, right? As far as what they want to do with their picture. All right. So there's our header. Then they can type what their research is about and then add a picture. And remember, and you're going to hopefully practice this in just a few minutes, your scroll actually stops. Like it doesn't allow you to go on without making a choice. So now maybe I want to do a split layout. And you can see these little arrows in the middle. You can change it, right? One side is for image. The other side, you can add either another photo, you can add text on this side, but this is what a lot of students will choose to do. They'll put an explanation on one side of something that they worked on, and then a picture of it on the other side, right? So it's really, really just a wonderful way for students to show what they know. When students have finished adding everything that they want to add, they can go up here and there is a preview button. This is just going to let me preview what it looks like so far. And obviously it doesn't look like too much because I didn't do too much, but it'll let students see what it looks like so far. They can X out of it when they're done, make any changes they want. And then when they're ready to share it, they just go to this share button where they can publish it to the web. And if they publish it to the web, there's a whole bunch of things that it will actually create a link, right? So that it's not being published for anyone to see. They still have to share that link. if they want others to be able to see it. So I might go up here and I might call this Sean's Science Fair project. If students are working on this collaboratively, they can actually turn this on and allow others to remix it as well. So students can work on these digital portfolios together, right? So if you wanted to use this at the end of a big project, or students who are working on a project together, they could actually work on this together collaboratively at the same time. I am going to turn on password protection. If you want to do that, you can. And then you have to add a password. But then I'm going to hit create link. It's going to publish my project, but you still need to have the link to be able to access it. So now here you have the shareable link, which I can copy. I can drop it into Google Classroom or Teams. I can email it. I can embed it somewhere. But this gives our students the ability to share these out. One of the things I always, at the end of the year with my students, I would always send their portfolios home with their families, because their families were really proud of it. My students were really proud of the work. But as you can imagine, it got squished and wrinkled, and who knows what happened to it then. While I would still do that now because hard copies of things are great, now when we hit this copy button and we share this link, these portfolios can be shared with anyone, anywhere around the world, right? Which is pretty amazing. Many students are using these digital portfolios. Some of our older students are using these digital portfolios and attaching them when they apply to colleges, because it is an amazing collection of your best work or your students' best work. And because it has that share button, students are creating QR codes, they're sharing bit.ly links so that colleges can actually go in and see what they've done. So it really is just an amazing way to allow students to share their work.
I had a question about what we call floating labels, labels that you can put over the top of images.
Okay.
Is that doable in this format? I've not been able to do that before.
Yeah. So I have not seen images over or labels over images. We could do captions underneath images, or you could do the side by side, where you could do the text on one side and the image on the other.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if it's something that you wanted to, it's kind of a workaround, but if it was something where you wanted to have text over the image, you could create that just in like a poster or just in a regular, a regular 8.5 by 11 in Adobe Express, and then add that to the portfolio.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a workaround, but
Hey, workarounds.
I know
They
we
work.
do what we got to do, right?
Right.
And show you something else that you might want to show your students. And that is one of the features called Animate Your Voice. And this is actually a very fun feature. Might I guess it doesn't really depend on the age of your student, but they are videos that your students can make that using the generative AI that allows them to narrate what they have done. So I want to show you how to do this. This students can do if you go right into, again, it's on your homepage, and it is this button right here, the animate your voice. So if you click into this, and I'll give you a minute to play around with this too. This was the one that I had made, chose a cat. But when you get to this screen, you can see that there are all different kinds of characters. So students can choose one that they think represents them. They can choose a superhero. They could make one. They could choose an animal. They could choose anything that they wanted. This is just something fun. And then they choose it. They can, decide how they want it to look, the scale of it. And then if they hit the button, they can actually record. So I could say, welcome to my digital portfolio about my science fair project about animal habitats. And then what it's going to do is it's going to generate a preview where it's going to actually incorporate the AI to have the character lip sync and kind of move its head and generate movements to animate using the voice. But you could have your students, doesn't matter what age, do this and actually narrate through pieces of their digital portfolio. It's also something that's really fun to have students do for projects as well. So now you can see if I want to play this. Welcome to my digital portfolio about my science fair project about animal habitats. Then what you could do is you can download it, which saves it to your computer, and then you upload it into your digital portfolio as a video. So let me show you how to do that real quick. I'm going to put it right here, and then I'm going to go back into my digital portfolio. And remember, anytime you want to find something that you worked on, you can either go into your stuff or there's a bar right down here at the bottom. So I'm just going to click onto the bar right here and I'm going to wait until it pulls up my portfolio. And I think on this side, I'm going to upload it. Well, this is a photo. So let me do it this way. Let me upload from here. Let me upload my video. Oh, I have to grab my link. I didn't grab my link yet. I need to grab my link from my video or upload it. Let's see if I can do it right here. That is how students can animate their voice and then bring it in. And the other thing that they can do, and I think I should have had it in editor, is when they click the editor button, then what they can do is they can actually add scenes. They can go back. They can add this as a page. But it's a very, very fun way to kind of personalize the digital portfolio or any other project that they're working on. So that's animate your voice. The other thing I wanted to show you that is new, I don't know if you've already noticed it or even done it, but now we have classrooms. So if you click on classrooms, you can actually create your own classroom. So you can see here, I just created mine. It's very simple. You hit create class, you put in all of the information. And then if you want to edit it to add students, you can actually link it to your roster. You should be able to link it to your roster, or you can add classes manually. So I could say Sean's class, I could do the subject, I could do my grade level, I could say period 3, I could save it. And then what happens is you get a class link. So you could put this up on the board and students can then join the class. You can create a QR code so students can scan it. You can link it to Google Classroom, or like I said, you can just copy the invite link. When students join, then what you can actually do is create an assignment. Or, like I said, you can go right over here to add students, and you can create assignments for your students to work on. So if you go over here, these are guided assignments or guided activities that you can actually assign to your class to get them familiar with how to use these things, these features in Adobe Express. So for instance, this was kind of what I just did, right? This was make yourself into an action figure with Gen AI. Instead, I made myself into an animal. Create a character, create a book cover, all of these great things. But these are all step-by-step projects that you can assign and have your students do. So let me just show you, for instance, if I go back to this one, what happens with this, and this is awesome if you want to try this out for yourself as well, so you know how to do it, but it actually has short videos that talk your students through all of the steps so that they can create what's on the screen. So that is new. That's in classes if you want to create a class. However, if you go down to learn and you go down under that to educator resources, all of these things are still in educator resources. So if this is something that, again, you want to teach yourself, you can go to educator resources and they have guided activities now for every subject. So I don't know if this was something that you were aware of before, but I did want to show you these things. So they have things for language arts, social studies, math, science, and then they have classroom challenges and activities. So there's so much here in the educator resources, all free. So if you want to look up Gen AI in the classroom, teaching language and literature, community building, and here again is the digital portfolio one that I was talking about before that I'm going to show you at the very end of this course in the slides. But if you click on this, it is a 30-minute self-paced course, and it's going to, you can see it's the same one that I had on the screen, and it is going to talk you through all of the basics about digital portfolios, basically what I'm doing with you today. But I did want to point out to you that all of these things are here for you to kind of see and learn. And then there are blogs. There's also all of these things too, which I know this is digital portfolio, but I just wanted to show you in case you didn't know, you can convert something to an SVG, you can convert from a PDF, and you can actually edit a PDF. These are big things. A lot of times we get, as teachers, we get worksheets, things like that. That are in PDF form that are really, really tricky because a lot of times you can't make any changes to a PDF. We do have those options here as well in quick actions. To our next training,